Hi, AT from CNC at Home. If you've been watching any of the videos recently, you've noticed that I've been having some trouble with that cold galvanizing compound. All sorts of things where it just doesn't seem to want to burn properly. And I had come up with a solution, what I thought was a solution, and it was a curing time. So I let the cold galvanizing compound set for at least 24 hours, and then it seemed to burn correctly. So problem solved, right? No, I went back to that same batch of tiles and tried doing another experiment. I wanted to look at not just the power settings, but the line interval setting. And when doing that, the first thing I did was I used the feature within Lightburn to do a material test. One of the options is to have it do a varying line interval. So great, power on one side, line interval going the other direction, burned it. And I had somebody comment that I should also burn an image, not just solid squares. I should burn an image with some finer detail and do that image at a variety of line intervals to see what worked best. So I did that. And I took both those tiles out to the garage, cleaned them up, and virtually everything washed off. There was hardly a thing burned onto the tile. These tiles were working a couple weeks ago. What happened? So I went in and said, the focus must be wrong. I refocused, but maybe I did it wrong. So I went in, magnifying glass, low power, and I got that thing as finely focused as I could. Burned another tile with the little images. Hardly a thing came out on those. So I've burned quite a few tiles, a lot of failures, and this video is going to kind of cover that a little bit and the process of elimination, or the process that I took to try and figure out what was going on. So remember to give this video a thumbs up, and let's get to the action. Now, I use the term action pretty loosely. We won't be looking at any video footage of the laser burning. You've seen that. It's the same thing over and over and over again on this particular one, as I burned the same image on multiple tiles. So let's look at the results and then talk about what I think is the solution. It may not be. For crying out loud, I thought it was this, I thought it was the other thing, and too many variables. So hopefully this is the last one and this is the solution. So let's take a look at these tiles. I've been having more failures recently in burning coasters than I have in the past. This top row, we did it in another video where I tried doing 4 saxophones, and they really didn't come out too well. I ended up reburning them and got a good set, but something wasn't right. Then I was doing some wedding coasters. This is the airplane, these two. This over here are the nail crosses. Again, not turning out very well. After I had created or was able to get good burns, it seemed to me that the issue was the cold galvanized compound curing time. And so I wanted to do some experiments. I thought the process was nailed down, and that letting the cold galvanizing compound cure more was the solution. And so I did a burn test that came out blank once it was cleaned up, and I was testing resolution, so line increments, and nothing came out. I also had a small image that I was burning to look at the detail, and virtually nothing came out. I took the opportunity to do a really good job of refocusing the laser and put some more tiles in to see what would happen. And that's what I got. Still not very good. Better than this one, but not very good at all. So something else was up. I decided I was going to do a bunch of burn tests and see what's going on. This was my first test. I did burn this at 2,000 millimeters per minute at 80% power, which is a setting that should work well with the cold galvanizing compound. This particular tile, I had started some new ones and I painted it, and I burned this one within half an hour of painting. It came out not so great, especially in this area. One thing that I did differently is when I started burning this, I was burning at my normal 0.083 line interval, and I remembered I wanted to do this at a 0.1 line interval. So after it had burned in just a little bit here, where it actually looks nice, I stopped the burn, changed the parameter to 0.1, and restarted the burn. And I got some stuff, but not the kind of quality that I wanted. So I waited a little bit and did another burn. I went back to my 0.85 or 0.085 line interval. This was a tile that had been sitting for 2 hours. Same speed rate and power. Not any better. If anything, it's worse. So I waited a little bit longer, almost half a day. Here's one that was 11 hours. Same burn speed and power, same interval, and this was 11 hours later. Maybe looking a little bit better, not really. So I waited until the next day. So approximately 1 day later, same burn parameters here. 1 day later, same line interval, and it's not looking any better. So what's going on here? Here's another tile I did. This one was done on a tile I had painted white, so this is using the other methodology. It turned out fine. Between all of these burns, I was trying to make sure not to change any of the settings of the machine itself, because I spent a lot of time getting it focused, made sure it was right on the money. And this shows, well, yeah, it seems to be burning correctly. So after that, I decided there's more going on here. Let me refocus. Not only did I refocus, but I cleaned the lens, refocused, made sure everything was exactly what I needed. And so here's a tile using the cold galvanizing compound. This was done, you know, a day plus after painting it. I cleaned the lens using my same line interval, same power settings. Still, it's not turning out like it should. The lettering down here is good. The lettering up here, not as good. And there's this. What's that? I thought, well, maybe the laser had cut out. I didn't watch the whole burn. So I tried reburning this section. Didn't help. So something's going on. That made me think maybe the amount of cold galvanizing compound that I spray on here wasn't enough, and that this was an area where it hadn't gotten enough on it. What I ended up doing was I took my remaining tiles from that batch and I put another coat on. And once I had another coat, I let those sit overnight, and then the next day did a burn. That's what I got. Absolutely nothing. There may be a couple specks on there where something burned. Basically absolutely nothing. That made me think, well, if putting an extra layer on does that, maybe what was happening here where it was turning out well, maybe I need less coating. So what I did was I took the tiles and I got some clean ones and I recoated them with CGC, this time making sure to put a lighter coat, covering the tile completely, but putting a lighter coat on, and using my standard burn parameters. That's what I got. unbelievable. I've been spending all of this time burning tiles, getting bad results, and the issue, maybe it was me just putting too much stuff on the tile, and the laser wasn't able to do a good job burning through it. Now that I had something working, I tried doing my resolution test again. Here's that one. I burned these little houses on there, and these turned out really well. That's in comparison to this. Same burn parameters, nicely focused, the whole 9 yards. So, another potential variable with this cold galvanizing compound is to be very careful how much you put on. It doesn't seem like I painted more on there than I normally would, but I must have. So, clean lens, focused well, cured, and not too much. And it seems to have done a good job. I've put these 8 tiles side by side so you can get a good look at what's going on. This was the first one over here, second, third, fourth. This was the one that was the white paint method. It turned out okay. It's a little light. The white paint method kind of turns out a little bit lighter in general. The cold galvanizing compound is much darker, as you can see over here, when it works properly. So putting more paint on, not a good solution in this case. Putting less paint on, good solution. So hopefully the solution is to spray that cold galvanizing compound on, not quite so heavy. Nice light coat evenly across the tile. Let's hope that's the solution. I'm tired of wasting tiles and burn time, for crying out loud. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and think about subscribing to the channel. It really helps out the YouTube analytics and bumps us up so more people can view the videos. And enjoy doing your CNC at home projects. Oops.